Hello to everyone watching around the world. It is Football-Oranje, your home of Dutch football. We are reacting to Netherlands 1, Ecuador 1, the second group game in the World Cup. And there's a real big sense of disappointment here amongst us Dutch football fans. We've got Martin back, who's our Ecuadorian football expert, and he'll be giving his thoughts in a moment. I'm sure he's delighted. We've got Abdul, who again, he's outside the stadium right now in Qatar. And maybe you can show us the background, Abdul. Let's see what you've got. There it is. Very nice. And we'll be getting your thoughts shortly, Abdul. Mike, what did you think?
I enjoyed the first 6 minutes. And we can just
yes,
up and
that's about it, right?
Yeah. I think that one Gakpo shot, when that went in, I was thinking, okay, here we go. This is going to be nice. And then I thought Timber was putting himself about a bit. I think he made a couple of good interceptions. And I thought, okay, we're not going to get bullied here. He's shown himself. And then, yeah, it was about an hour of just Ecuador bullying the Netherlands off the ball constantly, nothing happening in midfield, nothing happening in attack. And then the defense, I think, was just so lethargic as well. I think that apart from Ake, I think Van Dijk had a really poor game. I think he stood off for the shot on goal, which led to the equaliser. And yeah, I think that after the changes that were made by Van Gaal as well, nothing happened. I don't think he got anything right tonight in terms of substitutions. I don't think they make a difference at all. And yeah, it's a bit worrying that I think Ecuador showed how you play against this Netherlands side. You just basically bully them and you just get in their faces, close them down constantly, and just run at them. If you got a bit of pace, Senegal showed it as well. You can really attack this defense, and a bit of pace absolutely terrifies them.
Mm-hmm. And thank you everyone that's been doing your live comments coming in right now, and a lot of those echo your thoughts, Mike, about how they just got bullied tonight. No one was kind of being highly critical on Van Gaal, actually. I think there might be a few in there, but everyone was kind of picking out individual player performances tonight. Everyone just seemed so flat. Frankie de Jong again didn't have the best game. Memphis Depay came on for a half. I always expect him to be electric, but maybe this lack of match fitness is really catching up on him. But this is such a wrong time to have all this. It'd be really good to pick apart some of these individual performances tonight. What Van Gaal should do different tactically. He will not move away from a 3-5-2 in the World Cup. I just don't see it. So what would he do better within that formation? Let's pull up a few of the comments because I think they're kind of summing up how some of us are feeling tonight as Netherlands fans. Summit says, we got overrun in midfield and Timber supposedly was good on the ball, was atrocious. No one had the courage to pass the ball forward to Dumfries where there was acres to move into. Didn't see much Dumfries in the ball tonight. Dave said, looking to escape the draw, no goal threat. Ecuador wanted it more. Totally agree there, Dave. Played tougher with more desire. Blinsken did nothing. He wants Malacia instead. Storm Shadow said backline was slow. Lacked bravery to pass the ball forward. Midfield was non-existent. Depay tried to bring intensity, but quality, passing and lack of drive around it made it pointless. There are so many more comments I will be putting up on screens. Please keep them coming in live. If you're not watching live, drop them in the YouTube comments. We'll reply to you. Now, Martin, I must bring you in. How are you feeling? And did you get surprised by how bad the Netherlands were? It's going to meet you.
It was, Michael said, in the first 6 minutes, I was shell-shocked. It was a golazo from Gakpo. And I was like, okay, how is Ecuador going to respond to this? And we did it 100% how we were supposed to. Completely bullied the Netherlands more than an hour. It was incredible football. And yes, I was surprised you guys, you started off so well. I don't know what happened with the lead, even ending the first half 1-0 after the Ecuador goal was called off. So I think you guys fell asleep, but more than that, Ecuador, they really tried to get the win here, and I think they deserve the win.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they deserve the 3 points, and the Netherlands really got away with one tonight. Had they lost, this would have been an even strong conversation about how the Dutch just seem to be throwing that World Cup chance away. Maybe our optimism before the tournament started has got our hopes up a little here. Abdul, talk us through the atmosphere of the game. What was it like in the stadium?
I felt like the match was held in Ecuador, really. The fans were just too many. I did not expect too many people from Ecuador to attend the match. Maybe you heard the cheerings from TV and all that. The Dutch fans,
Oh, we've lost
sorry,
him. Oh, no,
yeah,
you're back.
yeah,
You're back.
the Dutch fans were so few actually. We did not even make 5% of the stadium, or maybe even less, to be honest. That's, of course, the atmosphere. Even many foreigners were actually supporting Ecuador because they were the underdogs in this team, in this match. I mean, everybody was expecting an easy ride for the Netherlands, but especially after we scored a goal in the first 5 or 6 minutes. But the match was completely different after that. They completely destroyed us, and I have to admit it. This is the second time we get away. We were supposed to lose this match. In my opinion, we were also supposed to lose against Senegal. So this is like two matches now. We get away with a point. I was really worried and afraid that Ecuador might even score a second goal. They seemed more motivated than the Dutch players. Maybe you all noticed that. We did not really perform anything special. The team was all over the place. Maybe I can only praise Van Dijk and Nathan Ake. I think they were the stars of Oranje today.
Well, I mean, it was Ake that wasn't quite sharp enough to get to the follow-up of Nuppert's save to prevent the goal from going in. But I mean, yeah, Van Dijk had some good moments.
Well, maybe there is a mistake here and there, but after all, I think Nathan Ake and Van Dijk stopped so many chances. The midfield was not even there. I was very disappointed because I was hoping for Cup.
I mean, I noticed the coat miners next to De Jong. He
Yeah,
had a good start to the game, but then it just faded out. I was like, brilliant coat miners next to De Jong. There's a little bit more control. There was some little passes and he had an option in midfield. But then after that, didn't notice him.
I'm sorry, I lost you for a moment. I was really hoping for Cup Miners to start, and I was shocked. I thought the team would be much better having him in the midfield, but he was completely invisible. Neither I did not see anything from Klassen neither. So the midfield was completely invisible. Even the goal we scored, if you notice it, it wasn't really. I would say like an act of magic. It was just actually some luck that got the ball to Gakpo to score. I have to admit it. I have never seen Oranje performing like this, where we have only 2 attempts in goal the entire match. Even with Blind, I did not see that really.
I'm tempted to say it's probably the worst performance I've seen since Van Gaal came back as manager. What do you think, Mike? Because we've had this unbeaten run, which is still continuing. That felt so flat, and I can't quite put my finger on what it was. Perhaps part of the midfield problem was De Jong would drop into the defence, and it would almost become a back six. Then you have no one really in midfield, and there were three forwards that were not really dropping deep. It just felt really awkward.
Yeah, I think that every single time Netherlands had the ball, they didn't have any options going forward. I think even when they did get it wide, or because Blind wasn't really up the pitch, I don't think Blind was anywhere near the box at all the whole night. But even when it was on Dumfries to the other end, every single time he was trying to pass it or he was trying to go forward, you would just get bullied off it, or you just miscontrol it, or you'd miss the pass. It was just, it was just insipid from the moment that they scored to the end. Like, it's just, I don't know if they underestimated just how dominant Ecuador could be without the ball, or in terms of their power in midfield with Caicedo, and just the way that they just closed down constantly. I don't think they realized that Ecuador would have that sort of energy, even though Van Gaal said in his press conference beforehand that Ecuador were going to be even more organized than Senegal. I just think the players turned up today and just didn't realize what they were in for, which was a fight, and they just weren't up for it tonight. I think that even bringing on Weghorst towards the end, there was nothing. I think we got one free kick chance, which infuriates me that they got a free kick. They've got Van Dijk, they've got Ake, they've got Weghorst, height, and Berghuis just can't even get it past the first man. And it's little things like that. It's just so infuriating to watch, and you don't know what's happening. And every single change that Van Gaal made was just hopeless. And yeah, going into the final game, we can't say it's all doom and gloom because they've got 4 points from 2 games. They should have lost tonight. They got lucky against Senegal. They beat Qatar and they're through. And judging by Qatar, they don't look that great defensively. And then you'd hope that Netherlands should have a comfortable win against them. You know, Ecuador going into that final game against Senegal, possibly without Valencia. By the way, he went off. You know, that game could be tight. You're thinking Netherlands win 2-3-0 against Qatar, they top the group. But going forward, even a USA, I think, would struggle, would cause this Netherlands team problems. I'd hate to see Canada against this side. Canada just pouring forward with the speed that they've got. They're getting behind constantly. But yeah, I think that everyone's saying that this team was going to get to the quarterfinals. I think that based on these performances, unless something really changes, that's probably as far as this team's going to go.
Yeah, that seems like the end destination. And yeah, we have this confidence that when they play against a really big team, we saw it against Belgium in the Nations League, that they can get the better of a side like that. And they can play really well. Van Gaal has his game plan, the team spirit was there. We're just lacking so much, so frustrating. What does this mean for the World Cup? Well, they're not out. They still could finish top, but it just feels like disappointment's not far away. That it could be the round of 16, it could be the quarterfinal, but we won't get this special run to semi-finals and the finals playing the way that they have been today. I thought Senegal was actually a shade better than this. Just in general, I didn't feel like it was a similar performance. I disagree with Abdul there. I do think that was better, but was that because Senegal were worse? At the end of the day, we could be talking about Ecuador being one of the surprise package of the tournament. They could be one of the teams that could end up going far and surprise many. What do you think about that, Martin? Do you get that impression as well, that it might not all be all doom and gloom for the Dutch? It could be that Ecuador could be flying.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we're the dark horse of this World Cup. We're here to make history. Ecuador has never been past the round of 16. That is our goal. We can get to the top 8. If we finish top of the group, it's easier. We're trying to avoid England, but we're not scared of anyone. I think after this Netherlands match, we played incredibly well, and give us any team.
They've got some good talents. They've got this verve about them, which the Netherlands just didn't have tonight. What do you think about bringing on Xavi Simons, Mike? I thought about him being an option to bring off and add a bit of vibrancy, or the change of formation. And Van Gaal was never going to turn to someone like Simons, the situation that the Netherlands were in. He was going to go with someone trusted, someone with experience, but it was just so slow.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that disappoints me the most, because if they won tonight against Qatar, we would have seen the likes of Simons, we would have seen the likes of Frimpong. I still think Frimpong has a chance to start or play against Qatar based on what Dumfries done tonight, but I would have liked to see Simons. Although tonight, I think Ecuador would have bullied him really badly. He's still quite light. He does get pushed off the ball quite a lot for PSV, and I think that Ecuador would have had a field day. I think that I've seen it in comments today that you look at that bench and you wonder who's going to bring on some pace. This is when somebody like Danjuma could have been a very useful player to bring on. Leaving him behind maybe was a mistake, especially if you're not going to use De Jong. And then you've got, who else is there? There's Noah Lang. Tonight's the kind of game that Ecuador were in your faces, tackling you. There's a few times that Timber looked like he was going to boil over. There's a few like little shoves. If you have somebody like Noah Lang who has a bit of a temper, nasty challenge on him, that could result in a kick out or something like that, a red card. So yeah, I just think that Netherlands have a lack of options on the bench that can change games, and that's even more evident tonight because I thought this team selection in the squad was the right one, but now I'm thinking there's a bit of lack of pace up front. I would have taken a Danjuma or a Malin, because that would have been a lot more useful tonight than maybe bringing on somebody like Weghorst.
And for me tonight, I just felt like, again, Noppert was probably my man of the match, but I didn't really say very much because his kicking still wasn't great. But what has he got to kick at? There's nothing to aim at. The forwards are all quite tricky and pacey, but who's going to make the ball stick if he has to kick it long?
Yeah, there's no one. Like in the Euros, it was a constant straight to Dumfries. Dumfries would then head it on.
Yeah.
That was the game plan of the Euros. We didn't see any of that tonight. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. It all seems a bit lethargic and a bit clueless at the moment. The players don't seem to be really gelling or know exactly what they want to do on the pitch. And I think tonight you just saw the desire of the Ecuador players. Every single second ball or every single time the ball bounced, it was always going Ecuador's way. And I think that's credit to them. I think you just need to hold your hands up and say, Netherlands were better tonight by a team that really should have won. And we just need to hope that going forward they don't face a team like that again, because Ecuador have shown how you can beat this Netherlands side. And if Ecuador got a bit of luck, they hit the bar. I thought that was in when it came on the side of the bar. That was so close to them winning it. And I think if Ecuador went in front, that'd have been it. There was no way back for the Netherlands because they just didn't have anything in attack.
Any thoughts on that, Abdul?
I was thinking of Broby, actually. We really should have taken him. I still don't know why Van Gaal picked Janssen for the team. Obviously, he's not good enough. Obviously, he's not going to use him the entire tournament. If we go to the second round and if we go to the third round, I don't think Janssen will play any match. I don't know why he left Broby. I mean, he could be very useful in matches like this. He's very quick, very dynamic. And I don't know why not trying Simons in the team. He could be the missing key in Holland, We needed a playmaker. If you could risk a young goalkeeper, you could risk also a young midfielder who could play as a playmaker. I mean, he could have opened many spaces in the match. Obviously, Memphis Depay is not as good as before. He's been benched for a while. Obviously, Klaassen was bad. Obviously, Berghuis, when he came in as a sub, he did not really do anything special. So you need a player with skills, somebody like Simons. He's the only player you can use in a match like this. And this is not the only problem, actually. As you guys mentioned, the team was kind of not motivated, and this is a problem. We were very, very slow on the ball. I saw the Ecuadorian players more hungry to take the ball and to attack. I did not see that at all. And I agree with you. We have like a lack of options in the bench. Who would you bring in? The only one is Simons, actually, and I don't know why Van Gaal keeps him at the bench. And yes, I totally agree that we have to bring Frimpong next match, because Dumfries, I think this is the worst match ever for him. I did not see him doing anything in this match. No right passes, no dribbling, no crosses, nothing at all. He did not perform anything.
When he's been so good at club level and has been so good in the past couple of years for the Netherlands, I'd find it hard to drop someone like Dumfries. But I do agree with the points with Simons and if you've given Noppert, who's maybe not so young but he's inexperienced, to take that point, and you got Simons who's not played for the Netherlands yet, hasn't got his cap. I can see that, and you want people that if not in the moment motivation, who's going to be young and hungry? Someone young like Simons.
Yes.
Yes. And I just felt Weghorst as well. I didn't really see why to bring him on. Actually, Luke de Jong is really in form for PSV. If you're going for height, bring him on. But then actually, the Netherlands didn't get wide in the final third. They didn't get wide like all evening. And how many crosses were even delivered into the box this evening? If you bring Weghorst on, we had one cross, and he didn't even hit the first. He was the first man from the free kick.
Yes, but Michael, please allow me to say this. If we depend on the performance of the player in the league, then Luke de Jong should have come in instead of Weghorst. Luke de Jong is performing much better lately with PSV. He's a starter. He scored many goals. So why wasn't him? Why Weghorst?
And then at that point, if I suppose they were behind, if they were losing and that one hit the bar went in, the 2-1 down, then maybe it's Luke de Jong, maybe it's a 4-3-3, and the tactic's a little different. But because it's a draw, I don't think Van Gaal wants to risk losing, because that would have been even more dangerous. Can someone explain to me why on earth the Netherlands are top of the group at the moment? When I'm sorry if my maths is incorrect, but they haven't scored as many goals as well, I'm confused. Can someone explain that?
it's the same number of goals actually. We scored 3, we conceded 1. Ecuador scored 3 and conceded 1. So maybe we are leading because of the yellow cards or something. I don't know.
Go for it, Martin. Do you know why?
It was 2 goals scored each, 0 conceded, and we just tied. So it could be because of the yellow cards.
Yeah.
You think so? Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's, if that goes to something like that with Qatar and it's like Ecuador winning 2-0, Netherlands are winning 2-0, that could be interesting. The Dutch definitely want to finish top of this group. If it is going to be England finishing top of their group, that they look really dangerous. Players that are fast, passionate, and will make the most of opportunities on the counter attack. So it's all tough to come, isn't it?
If
Look,
I could add,
Go on.
if I could add to what you and Abdul were saying with the youngsters on your team that haven't been getting minutes for the Netherlands, Ecuador, 8 of the 10 outfield players 25 years old or younger. Players like Moises Caicedo, 21 years old, Gonzalo Plata, 22 years old, Piero Hincapié, 20 years old, Jeremy Sarmiento, 20. You have to trust in your youth sometimes, and if they're the better players on form, play them.
That's what it feels like with the Netherlands. We've got players like David Klaassen playing, and whilst sometimes he can be a useful tool, he's not young and he's not particularly hungry and won't put his body on the line. It just feels like he's not that kind of player. And Cody Hakpo is one of the younger players and has impressed in this World Cup so far. So yeah. Let's bring in some people's thoughts again. I've asked them to come in on the live stream. We've got loads coming through. When I looked through briefly before we started coming on live, this one I thought was pretty good from Can't Get Right. We knew that Ecuador was a tough bone to chew. Maybe scoring so early was a bad for the team mentally. I think maybe that's what it was. It felt like they were really conservative when that goal went in, and since then it just didn't go right. Since then, you can't score too early, can you? But didn't feel right after that. Shahid losing the midfield battle. De Jong was marked out the game. Literally nobody in midfield. That's a worry. Yeah, the performance got to change. Ariel's thought it was really poor. And he's gone for a comment about Klaassen as well. You know, there's no intention to play the passing game when Klaassen's playing. Just wait for your lucky break. Van Gaal was overcooked this team. Here's the first critical of Van Gaal. Terrible job. Klaassen is number 10. No support forwards at all. Too slow in possession. Not enough movement. I'll try and bring you some people that haven't had a comment on screen yet. When the first goal went in, if it was a win for sure, Ecuador will attack, Dutch will punish them, and so on. But actually, the team was in disarray, physically and mentally weak, not in form. That's what I felt. It's a team that lacked form and therefore confidence this evening. MD said it's just slow game, something wrong with midfield transition. Frank de Jong, like I said, was like the 6th defender. Linton Dumfries' roles reduced. Yeah, Batman last year too. Could he get a run out now that we've seen David Blint's been a bit stale? What are your thoughts on Blint, Mike? He's someone who always has to have someone say something about him in something like this in his live stream. It's always Blint, Klaassen. But at international level, he has been better than he has been for Ajax. What did you think of his performance tonight? And do you think playing Malacia or maybe taking him out and going for a 4-3-3 might have been better this evening with hindsight?
Yeah, I think that when you play the formation that Van Gaal wants to play, you need your fullbacks to get forward and be joining in the attack. Dumfries does that in abundance. But when you have Daley Blind not getting forward, it just leaves everything open. And if Ecuador are going to attack, they can get in behind Blind. There was one point where Blind was standing just outside the penalty area. He came so central, he was just outside, and then Ecuador broke. And I was like, oh, here we go. Luckily, it didn't come to anything. But if he goes forward and Ecuador decided to use that flank, they were in behind constantly. And he doesn't have the pace to get back. He doesn't have the pace to go forward. And he wasn't crossing the ball because there's no one to cross to. So I think he's a bit redundant. I think Malacia should come in for the game, even if it's just to give him a rest ahead of the last 16. I think that we've got to treat this game like Qatar is obviously it's a must win. They're already out of the competition. They're only playing for pride. We've got to give a couple of people a bit of rest going into the last 16. I think Buen's the one that has to come out. I would take out Dumfries as well, just to see what Frimpong. Maybe give Dumfries 45 minutes if it's going well. Bring on Frimpong, and then I think Van Gaal just needs to decide how does this midfield gel together and who's the best man to stand beside Frankie de Jong, because Koop Miners isn't the answer and Berghuis wasn't the answer, so he needs to figure something. Because this team looks like a team that's going out pretty early in this competition if they do get out the group stage, which they should do, to be fair.
Jerome was a positive introduction, at least from the bench, but that's just to win a few tackles. But it's what he offers on the ball, which always kind of puts me off having him in there more often. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that bringing in someone like Darun against Qatar would be rather pointless.
Yeah.
To hope that Netherlands will be pressing Qatar and be most of the game be attacking them. And then when you play like that, Darun isn't as useful as he is when you're getting attacked. So I think that Darun from the start may have been an answer tonight, just to have someone that can put in a tackle and then isn't going to get bullied in the midfield. So I think we'll see more of Darun as the tournament goes on. I think the last 16 quarterfinals, that's when Darun's going to come in. But he's not a creative player. You know, if he gets the pass, he goes basically the pass to the nearest man. He's not going to open up a defense with the balls he's got to play. He's not going to shoot. So that's why I think Van Gaal's not used him as much so far in the group stage, because he thinks that these games are games against midfields that they should be dominating. I think tonight was a big wake-up call for that. I think we need to get past Qatar and then reevaluate when the last 16 comes, whoever we play, because I thought it was going to be Wales, but they obviously got beat. I'd be confident if they came up against Iran, but I'd be less confident if it was USA. I think they have a lot of pace on the counter, so I think that would trouble us.
Yeah, those 3 points would have been massive for Iran today in terms of the second place. A few more comments. John said Louis van Gaal would have to mix some things up. Memphis looked dull, class and 2, combining Jerome with the creative centre midfield, maybe. Who else hasn't had one yet? We've got Martin. Disappointing. Haven't been able to dictate the tempo of the game for both of these matches now. It's like Frank de Boer's back in charge. Not very positive there. I disagree with Gabriel here. Second best at 50-50. I mean, oh right, I see a comment now. Yeah, midfield definitely was outplayed tonight. I agree with you. Mark said Ecuador was way faster, straight at the Netherlands. It didn't force the ball up at all. Wondered if anyone wants to get a positive comment in tonight. Not that I'm feeling particularly positive, but I just wondered if is anyone watching that's still feeling like as confident as they were, say, last week about this, or was tonight a bit of a wake-up call for everybody? Michael said that the majority of Ecuador's attack came from Dumfries' side. Yeah, it was down that left, wasn't it, mostly? Any of us got another Michael? So we have enough in this podcast, but no. Noppert again, not comfortable with the ball at his feet. Navin said, did the Dutch have any game plan? Couldn't string 3 passes together. Different commenter. Any high-class team with Frankie de Jong in it should be able to control the midfield against Ecuador. But Ecuador are underrated for sure. Yeah, well, I think we should talk about Frankie in a minute, because he's just... I mean, the first game he gave the ball away constantly, and in this game didn't have any magic like he normally does. Nothing was going forward. It was side to side or back, wasn't it? He was being impressed, though. I will say that. Time to get to the 5-3-2 is my comment. Any more? Let's see if anyone's put a positive comment in already. John was surprised that we were so flat. The passing was so off. Too many giveaways, slow passes, no interplay. We didn't want it. But a hat tip for Ecuador, deserved to win. Martin's feeling the complete opposite right now. Must be feeling so pleased. Yeah. Well, Mark said that it's a positive that we still got a draw, so don't panic. And Storm said we can't play any worse. Agreed. Mike, let's talk about players like Bergwijn and Frankie de Jong then, because the confidence wasn't there from either of them tonight. Whilst you talk, I'm trying to get my laptop charger. Go ahead.
Yeah, so with Bergwijn, I think he's getting criticised this week in the Dutch media for a really bad press conference where he just didn't seem bothered. And again tonight, it just looked like he wasn't bothered. No runs, no pace on the ball, no ideas. And yeah, I think it's just the same for the whole team. I think when you have someone like Frankie de Jong in the midfield who thrives on running, if you can't run with the ball and there's no space to do that, you sort of take him out of the game. And even with passing, he didn't have any options in front of him. So yeah, I think that Van Gaal has a lot of things that he needs to change. He needs to change the midfield. He needs to change the attack because he needs to find someone that's willing to make the runs in behind for the midfield to actually play some balls to actually find getting behind the defense. We didn't have any of that tonight, and I think that Steven Bergwijn's had 2 games. He's had 2 terrible performances, and I think he'd be very lucky if he starts again.
Any final thoughts from you, Abdul, for this evening?
Well, actually, I'm thinking of what Martin said when he told us about the average ages of the Ecuadorian players. You need young players sometimes. You need just to blow this team, and not all the players, of course, but to bring some fresh legs. I really want to see Simons and the Frimpong, and maybe it's time to ditch 5-3-2. Obviously, it's not working. Maybe we need to change it. I don't know to what exactly. 4-3-3 maybe. I have no idea. But Van Gaal has to sort this out. He brought some undeserved undeserved players to play for Oranje, such as Janssen, even Bergwijn. Actually, I don't think he deserves to be a starter. I've noticed him with Ajax lately. He's not really performing well, and we saw that here too. We need to change. We need to make so many changes. Honestly, I was thinking that bringing Cup Miners and the Klassen can change a lot in the team, but obviously I was wrong. So I'm clueless now. I don't know. Van Gaal has to figure it out for the next match and hopefully for the round of 16.
Thank you for you, Abdul. And of course, we'll get your reaction in the next game as well, because you'll be at the game against Qatar. But lovely to have you again. It's really exciting to have you outside the stadium and actually there in amongst it all. Really exciting. And Martin, final thing. Oh, very welcome. So Martin, I really want to get your final thoughts on this. This perhaps is one positive comment from Netherlands' point of view. Can you fill us in a bit more on this? If there's anything to draw from this match, no pun intended, Ecuador did this to Brazil and Argentina too. Is that right?
Yeah, we were the only team to get points off Argentina and Brazil during the World Cup qualifiers. This team, when we play against big teams, we perform well. I'm not 100% pleased. I'm pleased by the way we played, but we wanted the 3 points today, and I think everyone watching agrees. So there's one more match. Like you guys could finish first, we can finish second, or vice versa. One more game decides who we face in round 16, and that's all that matters.
Thanks for you for joining tonight, Martin. Do you want to give a quick shout out to what you do?
Yeah, you guys can follow me at Ecuador Heroes. I'm a football trainer, and I also post content in English, everything Ecuadorian football. Thank you guys for having me.
Brilliant. And Mike, any final thoughts from you this evening?
Yeah, I seen a comment there about Spain played this badly in 2010 and they went on to win the tournament. So yeah, it's not always the team that gets off to the best start that goes on to win it. So we just need to have that sort of confidence going forward. But it's hard when you play that bad and just seem to have no attack to think that it's going to get better when it comes to the knockout stages. So it can only get better, I guess. I hope that Van Gaal has some master plan to turn this around. But we'll see, and hopefully a much better performance against Qatar.
Yeah, I'm confident that we'll be getting 3 points against Qatar. I mean, if not, then we should be going home. But we've got Sumit here. That's a comment there. The only positive is that Spain were equally poor in the 2010 World Cup. We'll all cling on to things like that. And another one here. No worries, we can still win the cup. So many strange things are happening. I think there's a time to break the jinx. Yeah, we have Germany losing. You know, we've had other shocks as well in this competition. And the fact Netherlands can be here with 4 points in 2 games, they could be going through with 7 points out of 9. Other teams might not be able to say that come the end of the group stage. It felt as though so many teams weren't quite in form. We've seen a couple of teams, Brazil are one, England are another, Spain perhaps are another, where they are turning up at this tournament, but not everyone has. And that gives a bit of hope that Netherlands at least haven't been that bad. But so much has to improve. And I know we all trust in Van Gaal, right? We know that he's going to have a look at this. He's going to see what can improve. I hope he has a few changes again. He did make a few changes for this game. Will he do it again against Qatar? Maybe Xabi Simons gets a start and he impresses, and then he can play in around a 16, and that energy and that verve is back around again. Thanks everyone for watching or listening and joining us this evening on our live stream. If you're not watching live, thank you again for watching back. Give us a like if you enjoy our post-match podcasts that we do that are live about each game. And of course, we'll do a preview for the Qatar game and also a live stream too after the Qatar game. And fingers crossed in the round of 16 too. Mike, what's coming up on the Football-Oranje website this evening?
So the match report's already there, and there'll be player ratings as well. I don't think it'll be a nice read. I don't think there's going to be anyone above a 5 or a 6 based on that. But yeah, there's going to be some Netherlands player ratings to read later.
No, I look forward to reading that and seeing who you thought was the better of a bad bunch this evening. And thank you guys for just a couple of comments that are coming there. Thanks, Mark. You love watching these. Well, we love you watching these too. Without all of you watching, we wouldn't be doing this. So subscribe if you are new to us here at Football-Oranje, your home of Dutch football, and click like if you enjoyed. Bye, everyone.
Cheers.